Welcome to episode 7 of Unlisted, our podcast about all things about living in our area. Today, we're going to cover some great topics. There's some development changes proposed in Newburyport we're going to discuss. Very controversial. Of course, everything is. Amesbury Point is kind of a new project that people are having issues with. Amesbury Elementary, and then a whole bunch of zoning stuff in New Hampshire. So let's get into it.
All right. So before we get into all that, there's a little drama that's happening. Cacao.
What is going on?
I don't know, right? Okay, so
I'm glad you mentioned it because I was going to mention it too because I couldn't even believe it.
Right. So it seems like in the middle of the night, very dramatic, all of a sudden there is a for rent sign out front.
They just opened.
They just opened, and they've been doing quite well from my understanding.
I was in there a couple weeks ago, and the woman said it started slow, but we're doing great now.
Yep. Their website is down.
Also, I was looking at new listings yesterday, and I saw a commercial listing that looked like their workroom that we shot that video in.
Yeah.
Where they made all the chocolates. So are they going lock, stock, and barrel out of here?
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering.
John, you're not in that building anymore. I was going to ask him if they're gone from there. But so they had an Amesbury location where they did the the making of the chocolate.
And a great shop as well.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what's going on there, but so there's a for rent sign outside. The website is down, and on Google it says permanently closed.
Where?
And it's like, what happened?
I know.
I just want to know what happened.
I know. I'm on their mailing list. I didn't get anything. Wanted to let you know we're moving to Alaska or anything. I just made that up.
Okay. They went on the trip to the moon and didn't have time to make chocolates anymore.
Yeah. So all right. Well, let's get into our agenda.
Yes.
And if anybody knows anything about
Cacao, let us know. Yeah.
Put in the comments. So Rach, tell me about what's going. Okay, Newburyport in the ever vigilant fight to stop small homes being torn down.
Yeah.
We're going in a direction that I'm not sure is going to make a difference. What do you first of all, what are they proposing?
Okay, so let me start with the problem. Problem that we're seeing in Newburyport is that I would say specifically in the west end of town, or the north end going into the west end of town. There have been a number of times that small, modest starter homes, if you will, little capes, ranches, have been purchased by developers, torn down, and turned into McMansions, or not, they're not McMansions, but
larger homes,
very large homes, expensive homes. So a house that would have been $600,000 is turned into a rather oversized house in a house
4,000 or 5,000 square foot is what we consider large.
Yeah, in a neighborhood that it doesn't really match with.
Yeah, they're mostly 1,200 square foot.
They're really small, again, modest, starter, sweet little homes, right? So there's been a lot of backlash about that, and I just want to preface all of my opinions by saying it pisses me off too. It does, because I live in a house like that. I live in a 1966 ranch that is 1,500 square feet, was reasonably priced when I bought it. Probably wouldn't be today, and those, we need homes like that, right? Of course. And so the original proposal was to change the demolition delay. So currently in Newburyport, we have a demo delay that's anything 75 years or older. Historic can put a demolition delay on it that you have to wait 12 months before you can.
That's only 1970s now.
No.
75 years? Oh, 1950s.
1950s.
Okay, so that anything before 1950, basically.
Right, but that doesn't cover a lot of the ranches, and
it doesn't cover any of them.
Because
they were all built in the 50s to 60s, and 70s.
Yeah. So there was why don't we propose that we put a 3-year, 36-month demo delay on houses 50 years or older to stop them from being torn down. So that was the original iteration of this proposed zoning change. Now they're looking to change the existing historic. They've walked it back and said, let's propose 75 years still. and instead of 12 months, do a
So that takes us back to 1950.
Yes. Yeah, and then we'll do 24 months, 2-year delay instead. So I'm going to go through all of these changes, and then we can talk about how we feel about them.
Sure.
And then another thing is they want to change the FAR, which is like the square footage of the base of the property. I get the base of that. Let
me explain that.
Yeah, can you explain it?
Yeah. So let's just say you have I'm going to make this real simple. You have a 10,000 square foot lot. The FAR, which is the area of lot coverage area, right now can't exceed 33%. So if you have a 10,000 square foot lot, that means it can't be more than 3,300.
The footprint, yeah.
The footprint, which is still pretty darn big.
Right. If you double that, that gives you almost 7,000 square feet.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what the FAR is basically lot coverage.
Yes.
Percentage of lot coverage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they are proposing that they change it to 25% to essentially stop the building of these houses, and they are also want to change the height restriction from 35 feet to 25 feet, which seems extreme, but that we'll get into that. There's also a proposal in front of the planning board that the ZBA, the Zoning Board of Appeals, would have more discretion to approve or deny applications before them based on...
This is where it goes crazy.
Yeah. Based on if they feel it's good for the neighborhood, or based on aesthetics, if it matches the neighborhood. Now, the whole point of this is so that they can kind of have more discretion to say, like, no, we don't want this ginormous house in this neighborhood. That's the point. The entire point of all of these, I want to just preface this too, is to stop starter homes from being torn down and large-scale new houses put in their place, and trying to preserve some of the affordable housing that we have in Newburyport. That is their stated purpose.
Yes. So there's in practice.
Right.
What happens on the ground?
Yeah.
And how does it affect homeowners in Newburyport?
Right.
You know, you bought your house, and just as an aside, if we look at the socioeconomic conditions between 1950 and 1970 in Newburyport.
Right.
It was a very different place. It was on par with Haverhill and Lawrence socioeconomically in terms of median income. And those homes, a lot of them were not very expensively built. They were but I think that they built them better than a lot of things now. I mean, I'm not saying they're crappy houses, but they were built to meet that economy. And now what's happening is builders are meeting the current economy. And
I would disagree with that.
I know you would, but I'm just making my point that the median income and the average sale price in Newburyport
has changed.
Is over $1 million now. Back then, it was probably $150,000.
Right.
Right. So
there's that. Newburyport's been gentrified. That's why, essentially.
It's reality. Yeah.
So I mean, and with that, a lot of change happens. So in terms of, and this is coming from an affordable housing person, I don't like any of this.
We still like you.
Yeah. I'm going to say I do not like any of this, and I'll explain why. Demolition delays do not actually stop things from being torn down.
If anything, they increase the price, because now that builder has to hold on to it for a year. Now they'll hold on for 2. They always have a workaround. Yeah, there's always a workaround. And can't you get a waiver?
You can get a waiver. So I'm going to be giving public comment at the planning board meeting on the 15th about this. And part of my story that I'm going to tell is about how I had some clients that were looking at a really small, like I think it was like an 800 square foot house on Erie Ave, 20 Erie Ave. It was a ranch built in 1900, which is like unheard of. It doesn't
so it means it was a shed, and they turned it into a house, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And there was no historic significance to it at all.
And your clients were interested in purchasing.
Yeah, and it was like really affordable. Like, oh my God, we could actually afford a single family home in Newburyport. This is crazy. The boyfriend is in not commercial, but he's in construction. Like, does it for work. Changing the house, altering the house would not have been a problem for them. They would have been able to do that with their own supply. Like, it would be like he would have been thrilled to do it, right? Now, the problem was I called the city and I said, hey, this is the deal with this house. Like,
here's the address.
How difficult would it be for them to, say, add a second story, or there's like a screen porch there now, like to enclose it. And Jennifer basically said the city wouldn't allow any of it. And it would be like an uphill battle.
So then what happened?
So my clients did not buy the house.
Yep.
Fast forward to not even a year later, because they closed on their house last July. So we're in April.
Where did they end up buying?
Amesbury.
There you go.
And the house has since been torn down. Demo delay because it's supposed to be 12 months, right? And so that apparently didn't apply to those people. And in its place is a $2+ million house. So, okay, it had a demo delay on it. The builder clearly got a waiver, and it happened anyway.
Yeah, they can get waivers for things being
like unsafe,
unsound. That's what happened on Merrimack Street.
Right. Now, and studies have been done specifically in Massachusetts about demo delays and what they do to affordability. Yeah. And it essentially, they don't do anything for affordability. They don't stop affordable homes from being torn down. They just increase the bottom line for builders. And so, because they'll just hold on to it. They'll just hold on to it or seek a relief from the demo delay, and then they will just bake all of those legal costs into the final amount. So I feel like we shouldn't be telling. I don't know. I have a hard time with it because I want historic homes to be preserved, right?
Right.
But like that. But at the same time, like, you're just increasing the price of housing by putting more restrictions on a property, which ultimately you're just going to allow to be torn down anyway. So like, what's the point?
Yeah. So there's the one part that kind of got me.
Yeah.
Like my ears perked up was the discretion of
the zoning
board of appeals. I'm sorry. Who determines what is in the character of the neighborhood?
Exactly.
I mean, there can be a house that's small.
Yeah.
That was built in the 1970s and 1980s. That, I mean, it's kind of like arbitrary. That's just somebody's opinion, and that laws should be laws that everyone can follow. Well, and I really have an issue with that, and whether or not, what was the other thing that they could determine whether or not it was
a right
aesthetic? Aesthetic? I'm sorry. I have a completely different aesthetic than you. How about you, John? You have a completely different.
Totally different.
Totally different.
So why should 6 or 7, I don't know how many people are on the ZBA, determine what the look of a neighborhood is going to be? I think that's complete overreach.
Wrong.
and I also think that it is so subjective that they're leaving so much up to opinion.
That's right.
That means that they could just decide that they didn't want it because they just decided they didn't like it. And
they don't like that builder. He's a jerk.
Right.
Or they don't like that homeowner. They've been to this planet. They've been to every zoning board meeting and they've been complaining about things.
And they can just say, oh, well, it's because we didn't like the look of your, I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And the way that this is going to impact people is, first of all, it just makes the process more uncertain, which, at the end of the day, all of these kind of limitations are just going to be placed on developers, not really end users. I mean,
they're placed on the original homeowners too.
Right. But, okay. So for example, if they can decide whether or not a house can be altered, a non-conforming house can be altered or not, you're also stopping a potential owner that lives there now from adaptive reuse of their home.
That's right.
Which then, what if they have to sell that house because they can't adapt it in a way that works for them?
What about the height restriction that's back to the original zoning?
I don't know how I feel about the dimensional controls. The thing is, it's like, okay, so I was talking to Eileen Graff about this, and she said, she said, oftentimes houses aren't that tall, so it's not, they're not usually
28
35
or 31.
Yeah, exactly.
And, to have the peak of the roof or whatever. So,
and it becomes an issue when you're on a slope.
Right, because they're measuring from behind.
The lowest point.
Right.
Which causes an issue. Basement isn't included in the
no, but it's
number.
from the ground, and so if it's a finished lower level with a walkout, that's where you're going to start your 35 feet,
right?
25
so
feet.
Then that becomes a problem, and just because you force people to build smaller houses doesn't mean the lot is worth less money, and it doesn't mean the cost of construction is less.
I think that it's interesting. We're going to get into some New Hampshire stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's really fascinating that other areas are taking this to the point of changing the zoning, which I think is your belief, is that the zoning needs to be changed, not the workarounds.
Right. Yeah. Placing more restrictions increases the cost of housing, whereas reforming the zoning to make it profitable for a developer to put 2 houses on a single lot is going to yield more housing.
Period.
And so, like, if you did a 5,000 square foot lot, for example, instead of a 20,000 minimum for a single family home, and then that one lot, you know, becomes a double lot to a developer, I can guarantee you they'd much rather put 2 houses on a lot than put one.
Or 2 townhouses, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that that's true, and I also think that if that, not to get too much into the adding more restrictions, but if one were to say, if you have a 20,000 square foot lot, which a lot of the lots in the West End are that big, that you could have that lot coverage covering. You could have greater lot coverage if you divide it into 2 houses, not to exceed 2,100 square feet or something of that nature.
They did put in some dimensional controls to expand them for multifamily housing, like setbacks and frontage and stuff like, which is all awesome. I'm all for that. But multifamily is not allowed by right pretty much anywhere anymore. So what's the point?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that to be negative, but I'm just... unless you allow it by right, they still have to go through all those hoops. Like, yeah, on paper it's going to be easier, but the process to get the approval is not going to be any easier.
Well, I think too, your case of the young couple really makes a lot of sense because they wouldn't know all that, and they weren't told any of that.
And also, they don't have the resources, the time,
Attorney,
the energy,
engineer,
to go through all that.
Traffic study. It goes on.
Right. Like, so they would never be able to go through.
The only one who could do it is a builder.
Exactly. Yeah. Or someone who has a lot of money to pay people to do it for them.
That's right.
All right. So next, speaking of more zoning changes. So
that is what I said, reference Hampton Town Center, zoning changes for more diverse housing. So what do they mean by that? More diverse housing? More types of houses?
Diverse types of housing. So,
so in other words, single family, multifamily,
right, and
cottage, whatever.
Yeah. So what we talk about often in the affordable housing arena and zoning reform, space is about the missing middle, which is a lot of houses. There'll be low income housing, there'll be luxury housing, but what about all those people in the middle that don't qualify for that low income?
They
but
try
they can't
with the workforce housing, but it doesn't really cut it.
Yeah. So what Hampton is proposing, which I think this makes like my zoning heart happy, like it really does, is to allow for cottage.
You used to like pocketbooks and things like that. Now it's zoning.
What happened?
Yeah, I know.
So
You're
what it would allow for is cottage courts, which are small homes. Let me read the actual definition. It is cottage court is a group of small detached houses, attached houses, townhouses, 2 units maximum per building, or small scale buildings with mixed and non-residential uses, including a shared common courtyard. In Hampton, there's no minimum lot size, which is...
That's bizarre.
Minimum unit size is required, except as dictated by building and fire codes. All new units within the development have a maximum size of 1,250 square feet. Gross floor area, which is what we were talking about with the FAR, excluding garages. The maximum... except for age restricted 55 and over, can be up to 1,000. And at least 150 square feet of courtyard space shall be required per dwelling. And the dwelling units shall provide at least one off-site parking spot. Now, the area that they're talking about rezoning would be mainly downtown Hampton. I lost my piece of paper here. Of course.
There you go.
That's what happens. Oh, thank you. So... And I'll put the graph up on the screen. So just X out the beach. And then, a lot of the protected waterway areas where, it's all
huge marshes.
Seasonal. Yeah. Basically, we're talking about the downtown district. I would assume off of Lafayette. Is that the main road there? And some other big strip of land over by Hampton Falls. So... I love this. I think that this is fantastic. And I think that, this is a very progressive move for Hampton. I'm actually quite shocked that something like this came out of New Hampshire. I'm not, because typically their policies are not very progressive.
They're more conservative.
They
and
tend
slower
to
to move.
Yep. So
but this is really live free or die. Build what you want.
Yeah. Well,
not really
within restrictions.
But
I'm
just saying,
this is the type of creative housing reform that we desperately need.
Yep.
So kudos to Hampton for doing this. This is honestly, it's amazing.
Great.
So why don't you talk about Amesbury? Okay. So a couple episodes, I think it was our first episode, we talked about Amesbury Elementary School and how they were considering putting it up for sale.
I think it was, and it is for sale.
It is.
The city has issued an RFP, that means request for proposal. So they're requesting you, the public, to bring them proposals to develop the property. Sort of. Sort of.
Yeah.
Because they're actually showing you exactly.
I'll put it up on the screen.
I know you will. They're showing you what to build. I think it's very pretty. I don't think it would be ideal for the site myself. It looks too much like a big complex to me. Even, I don't know. It's just...
Yeah, so...
I mean, to me, I would think something like they're doing in Hampton would look great here. Cottages.
Yeah.
And now you'd say, well, they only have 4 acres. Well, they only have 4 acres because it's owned by the city of Newburyport, and they gave the other 10 acres. City of Amesbury.
Yeah.
It's owned by the city of Amesbury, and they've opted to give 10 acres to open space, but that's like, well, can't you opt to not do that and get a better plan? I don't know. It's just...
Okay, so I will be the devil's advocate here.
You go there.
This kind of dense, multi-story housing is better. It's cluster housing than necessarily.
That's what Nick said to me.
Yeah. Nick and I would agree. I think my issue with this, and love you, Nick. This is Nick Cracknell, the planning director.
No, he's not. He's the economic development director.
Excuse me.
Nipun John
is the planning director. Sorry, Nipun. But he basically made a rendering and said, this is what I want, and I'm not open to any changes, and I've got to respect that, but at the same time it's like,
I don't know if that's what he said, but this does definitely give direction. With a sledgehammer.
You must build, but so it requires that the house be torn down. I mean, the school.
That makes sense. I mean, the building, to me, I know you like the building, but I've talked to a number of people who would be interested in doing this project. And the building it's very difficult when you have a very large building on one floor to make it workable.
2 floors? 2 floors.
Well,
you used to live around the corner, 1 or 2 flours at the old...
But it's a big footprint.
Yes.
It's a huge footprint.
Yeah.
And the problem is, as you can see with this rendering, there's space between the buildings. So there's, so you couldn't do that with the mass that is there now, the mass of the building that is there. And a lot of these buildings that were built in the 60s, 70s, whatever, have a ton of asbestos and a ton of environmental issues.
Womp womp.
Well, no, it just isn't effective financially to develop them using the existing building. We had the Sparhawk School in Amesbury, on Knoll Street, the previous high school.
Yeah.
And that was 20,000 square feet on one floor. And the people that were interested the people that bought it, fortunately, were another school.
With
Coastal
adults
Collaborative.
With
shout
disabilities.
Out to Coastal Collaborative, fabulous organization, because they needed the single level. But the bulk of people don't.
No.
And you'd have to cut out the middle of the building to put in a courtyard or something. So the people that, and this is in practical terms, the people that bought it were the right people because they could utilize it. The builders that all came in and wanted to do it, just keep the building and turn it into little offices or shops, didn't want to pay anywhere near what a school would pay.
Right.
So
it worked out in that
out in that regard, yes.
But so they want... Their request for proposal included new housing in multiple structures, not just one building. They don't want one huge apartment complex like Clark's Road, which, whatever. I mean, that's just is what it is, right? And they want also a variety of housing types, sizes, and a shared park or gathering space is what they're asking for.
All the right ideas. I'm just not sure I like the look of it. That's all. look at what's proposed. And I don't know, I'm not.
Well, okay, I'll make this counterpoint to that. As much as like I wish that there was a little bit more wiggle room on this, it is across the street from the project that Mark Wojcicki just did, and this would very much resemble
look
that.
Exactly like it, almost.
And Chris's one that he did around the corner on Market Street. They're all Greek revivals.
105 Market, yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, it would create a cohesive feeling. Yeah. And I think that the city of Amesbury is partial to the Greek revival look, if you will. So
that vocabulary of architectural elements. Yes, I agree with you. All right, and now we got one that's really, this is kind of crazy because it's almost at the finish line. It's almost built.
Yeah.
And now we're hearing a lot of noise about the Marina at Amesbury Point.
Yeah.
And I drive by all the time, and I can't help but think that other people drive by all the time and say, what the heck is going on there? Wasn't that a marina?
Yeah.
But it still looks like a marina. So it's still going to be a marina, correct?
Still going to be a marina.
What's the big problem?
Yeah. So
what's the big, let's just get right to it.
Yeah. So if you've been over there recently off of Main Street, it kind of by Hatter's Point, it's the building's beautiful.
The new building.
Yeah, the new building. Because what was there before was a kind of run down
patch and like they added to old things.
Boatyard, traditional old boatyard that was kind of just hodgepodge. They have since redone that, and there's a brand new building that's going in. So a new marina facility, a new marine operating building, and an 85-seat full-service restaurant.
Bingo.
Yes, that's what's causing the problem.
Controversy.
So part of the drama is that Amesbury changed its zoning in 2022 to allow restaurants use in active marinas by special permit.
So they must have done it just for this site, because how many marinas are there in Amesbury that you could put a restaurant in? I mean, I can't think of any other marina.
Lowe's Boathouse.
It's not a marina.
I know.
I'm just saying. So they must have, correct us if we're wrong, please, always. But they must have had this site in mind when they a restaurant. But a restaurant uses, we were talking about before we started today, if you have boaters, they're coming in at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, they're loading their boats, they're bringing their coolers, and they're either sitting on the boat and going nowhere, or they're going out and coming back at 5 or 6 o'clock. You have a lunch and dinner service. You're going to have staff getting there at 9, 10. Well, you're going to have cooks getting there at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
You're going to get staff getting there at 10 to do their side work and get set up. Lunch is going to be from then till 3. And then then those people all leave. A whole new group of people come in, and they're going to set up for dinner service. And so I could see.
You don't even know the hours yet, though.
I'm just guessing as a restaurant.
Yeah, okay. So
maybe it's going to be like a golf course little bar. I don't think so.
I mean, 85 seats. So the problem now is that people in the neighborhood are concerned about the parking. So initially they were required to have 117 spaces, and they're saying that they can only fit 99, and so they're asking for approval to just have 99 spots. And the neighbors think that's
so it's 18 spaces difference.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I don't live there, so I can't say whether or not that's important or not.
This one, we really need y'all to chime in.
Yeah.
And say why you think it's a terrible idea, or what you at this point is happening. So it really doesn't matter if you think it's a terrible idea. What really matters is what are the alternatives and what can we do to make this palatable to the people who live there. So, and also, they said there would be signage including a respect your neighbors messaging. That's lovely. That's going to do a lot. Don't beep your horn. Yeah. Please be cognizant of the neighbors. I mean, it's, and then also, abutters are raising concerns about headlights, of course noise, smoking. I mean, do people really even smoke that much anymore? Loitering and weather screening would actually protect the neighborhood. I don't know what screening means, but I'm curious about the hours. That's a good point you made, but yeah, it looks beautiful though. It's alcohol service too, obviously. So yeah, that's okay. That's where the where the noise comes from. It looks a lot better than it did before. It does, but yeah. So if you have thoughts and comments, I don't know if it's a membership only thing. I tried to figure that out. It might be you have to be a member of the marina to go there. But my thought is it could
well, like the North End Boat Club is, some of those places are membership private. Only. But like, think about it this way, neighbors. It could become a community gathering place.
It could.
So instead of looking at it the perspective of like all these people from outside the area are going to come in, like, well, what if that became this third place for the neighborhood where everyone could come together and talk and
we all need a third place. Yeah.
Exactly. So let's look at this in a positive way.
Okay.
They won't, but I get the concerns.
Well,
I get the concerns. I'm not dogging them,
Okay, so then we're going to move on to back to your favorite subject.
Yeah,
multifamily law.
Yeah.
Okay, what's happening, Rach?
So last year, the New Hampshire legislature passed
whole state
passed their kind of version of the MBTA zoning, MBTA Communities Act.
The MTV Act?
Yeah, but they don't have a commuter rail, so that, so basically
they haven't got
any trains to build around.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do have some, but anyway, so basically it makes cities and towns rezone commercial areas in their town to allow multifamilies by right. Not all of it. They just have to have a parcel that can be used as residential. It takes place, it goes into effect July 1st of this year. It is not every parcel, commercial parcel has to be residential, and there's nothing that the town or city can do about it. That's not what has passed. It applies where adequate infrastructure exists already. So that was made clear. Towns can restrict housing in commercial areas where industrial or manufacturing impacts make residential use incompatible. So like maybe if you were near, a sewage plant, or we have housing near a sewage plant in Newburyport, but maybe
something industrial that really creates
chemicals or anyway. Yeah. So, but unfortunately, the bill was a little bit vague about some of these things in the definitions. So they have now put forth the House Bill 1010 to kind of clarify some of the things, like what is a multifamily? What are they talking about when they talk about multifamily? And it allows more discretion from the cities and towns to say, we want a traffic impact study. We want water supply analysis.
So each town is going to interpret it kind of like the MBTA. They're going to put in a little bit, but not so much, and it has to go to the state for the state to approve.
I don't know if it has to go to the...
Typically, that's what happened in Massachusetts.
And it also expands the list of incompatible industrial impacts towns can point to, including things like dust, glare, and vibration. So, like, maybe if you had, like, I don't know, a quarry or something, you might
manufacturing
not... Right, you might not want housing next to it. So, in practical terms, Wyndham already passed their ordinance to comply on March 10th, and it set a minimum. These are very they're very specific.
They sure are.
They're like really, really specific. But so they said a minimum of 5 units per building and a maximum of 12 per structure. So you can have between 5 and 12 units per structure. Buildings must be at least 2 stories. 1/3 of the unit. This is where you lose me. 1/3 of the units must be 1 bedroom. The rest must be 2 bedrooms.
Yep.
It's like, okay, well, why? But all right. At least 50% of the units must qualify as workforce housing. Love that. That's fantastic. All about that. And Wyndham also requires the ground floor to remain non-residential commercial in these projects. So New Hampshire's trying. They're seeing that there's a problem that commercial zones are underutilized.
They're underutilized. Office parks. The people are just not.
Right.
They're not going to work anymore. They're
working not the same way that they used to.
In a very different way.
So if we can utilize those spaces, and they're also not near neighborhoods where people are going to be upset by things necessarily like traffic as much. And so I think that this is a really good step in the right direction.
I do too.
So yeah, that is the end of this episode. But I want to end with like a question for you.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the one place in Newburyport or in the surrounding areas, like restaurant, right, that is not here anymore that you would like kill to have a meal from?
You know what I'm going to say.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. 10 Center Street Burger. It was
A
the
10
best.
Center Street burger. Yeah.
Yeah. What else? Oh, Bergeson's.
Yeah.
That was nice.
You know what I'm going to say? Do you know what I'm going to say?
Yeah, I do.
What?
The Kmart lunch counter.
No.
No. What?
A Shirley dog.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Shirley
That
dog.
breaks my heart every time I walk into In Square.
I
In the
think it was
street.
her kids didn't want to take over the
I
business
don't
or
know.
something.
I don't know, but it was a $2 lunch. That's all I knew.
It was great. And they were such good quality.
Yep.
Shirley dog.
Shirley dog. And
You
she
know
had
what-
all the fixins right there.
Someone brought up on an Instagram post, shout out Kristen, she's my hairdresser. She about TCBY.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was like a big and then gone.
Yeah.
Big
It
and
was
then
like
gone.
the diet craze of the 80s and
It was.
90s. You used to bring me over
Low
there.
fat.
Everything was low fat.
And then now we know that is completely unhealthy, that you need fat and actually you need protein.
But it was really good. We would get like a swirl yogurt and we're like, we're
Oh.
being healthy.
Oh, I know, right? We did. It was like, yeah.
But Buttermilk Bakery
It's like
was...
people taking their kids to the juicery now. Like, we're being healthy.
Yeah,
We're giving
I mean,
our
but that
kids-
is kind of...
It is healthy.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying.
But yeah, so that's where Buttermilk was after, and now
Yeah.
it's whatever the bakery is. I hate to say, I don't know what the name is, but they have really good pizza. I went in there, got a
The
slice
Italian
pizza.
place, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it doesn't have a very engaging name. I remember.
I just
it was
don't
very
remember.
Not memorable.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
But Shirley
anyway,
dog. I would kill
Shirley
for a
dog.
Shirley dog.
I would too.
All right. Well,
Awesome.
we will see you on the next one.